There have been different times in my life when I've volunteered for something or signed up for something, and I was kind of excited about it, and or at least interested in whatever it was, and for whatever reason, information didn't come back to me. I remember signing up to go on a trip overseas when I was in college, and I went to the initial meeting, and then after that, and that was like in September, and it was going to be for the next summer. And by December, I hadn't gotten any more information. And I saw the guy that was in charge of it right before Christmas break. I was like, hey, I didn't ever hear anything about this. Is this, something that is still happening? He's like, oh yeah, we're already locked in. We've got tickets and everything. Sorry, you missed out. I'm like, but I signed up. I was there. You remember, you saw me sitting there. I was there. I just missed out on it. You ever had times like that? You ever sign up for something or volunteer for something and then you just didn't get the information, you didn't get the memo, they didn't use you, they didn't need you? What typically happens? I mean, I've been a part of a couple of different volunteer committees at different times when my boys were in school, different levels of school, and I would go be a part of this committee. And then after the first meeting or maybe a couple meetings, and nobody really asked me my opinion, or everybody else was talking and I didn't really feel like they needed me. So you know what I did? Stopped going. Anybody else ever do that? Or is this just confessional time for me? Maybe it's just me. And I have that tendency. I will confess that to you. There's sometimes where I'm like, man, if I sign up or if I show up and then I feel like you don't need me, you know what my go-to is? I ain't showing up anymore. And I'm saying I shouldn't be that way. But I struggle with that sometimes. You guys ever feel that way? So I want us to be thinking about those times when we've been excited about something or wanted more information about something or signed up for something, and then just for whatever reason we didn't feel like it was something. Maybe it was something that we found out. Oh, you know what? I didn't need to sign up for this, or we didn't get information, or we didn't feel needed, or for whatever reason we just kind of walked away from it. We've all probably had moments like that in our lives. And if you've never experienced that yourself, I guarantee you know somebody that has. And I want us to be thinking about that as we talk one more time about this commitment that this challenge we've been making ourselves of having no excuses. Of giving no excuses, of choosing to move forward from where I am now in a variety of different aspects of my life. And recognizing, being honest with ourselves, we've been doing this for this whole month since we started the new year, of realizing there's all sorts of times in our lives when we give excuses. We offer excuses for a variety of different reasons, for a variety of different things, to a variety of different people. And so we've specifically been talking about, like, I don't want to offer excuses anymore in my relationship with God. That I'm not going to, if there's some of us here that are, in this room right now or listening online who have never given their lives to Jesus Christ, they've never fully committed to Him, then we need to stop making excuses and fully commit. It's the best life that there is, and we need to commit to that. And if there's some of us who have been committed to Him before, but we haven't grown in that relationship, we haven't moved forward from where we first started, then we need to stop making excuses about why we can't do that. And actually make some effort to start moving forward. We talked about having no excuses for our families. That we're going to be committed to our families, to our marriages, to our kids, to our parents. We're going to commit to honoring each other and loving each other and serving each other, submitting to each other. And not make excuses anymore of why, the family just needs to deal with me because this is the way I am. We're not going to use those excuses anymore. We're going to commit to being a more engaged and better part of our family. Last week, we talked about having no more excuses when it comes to this community that we're living in. That we have opportunities all around us on a daily basis to reach out, to make connections with people that we're working with, people that we're neighbors with, people, maybe even some of our own family members that need people to reach out to them, to meet them where they are, and to help in any way that we can, or invite them to come be a part of what we got going on here. And we have all sorts of reasons that we use as excuses of why we can't. We're going to commit to not doing that anymore. And this morning, I hope that we can commit together as a church family and make no more excuses for our church family. That when it comes to my church family, I'm not going to make any excuses anymore. If there's something my family needs, if there's a way that I can serve this church family, if there's a way that I can connect with them in ways I haven't before, or find ways to connect somebody in my church family somewhere else, I'm going to do that. And again, we talked about how sometimes we have what we would label as legitimate reasons why we struggle with some of these things. But too often we use the reason as an excuse. We justify our behavior and our choices. We justify why we can't get involved, why we can't volunteer, why we can't have that conversation, why we can't change something about ourselves, when really it's just a reason that we've made into an excuse. And we want to commit to no more excuses. And this morning, as we're talking about committing to our church family, no more excuses for my church family, we're going to talk about connecting, and not just talking about attendance, but actually making connections with our church family and finding ways to serve our church family, the guests that God sends us. And many of us struggle. We struggle to find ways to serve. We struggle to find ways to volunteer and to engage and to get connected, or at least to do that consistently, for a couple of reasons. And one is a lot of times we don't know how to get started. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But sometimes it's not that we don't want to volunteer. It's not that we don't want to connect. It's not that we don't want to serve in some way. We just don't know how to get our foot in the door. We don't know how to start. But the second reason is that we come up with excuses of why we can't, why we don't feel comfortable, why it's just not something that we do. And there's a variety of excuses of why we don't connect with our church family, why we don't serve our church family. And one I think that's fairly common is, like I just said, I don't know what's needed. And if I don't know what's needed, then what can I volunteer for? If I don't know that it's there, I can't volunteer for it. And this is a legitimate reason. It's totally understandable. And we are trying, our leadership and our ministry leaders here at Flagstone, we're trying to get better at communicating what volunteer needs we have and what needs there are in the community and how we can get you plugged into some of those things. But it's a work in progress. And so I already mentioned this morning in our church meeting and our church family meeting, and also at the beginning of our worship time. But if you got your bulletins on you right now, I forgot to bring mine back up here with me. But if you got your bulletin right now and you flip that on the back, you can do this while you're listening to me, or tune me out if you want to, whatever. But flip on the back, and there's 3 different QR codes for Reach Out, Connect, and Serve. If you take your phone right now and click on that QR code that says Serve, it will bring up a list of all the different volunteer opportunities that we have right now. And you can sign up for some of those things, or you can find out who to ask more questions about. You want to know what's needed? There's at least some of the things that we need right now here at Flagstone. And if you don't know what those options are, you don't know who that person is, man, come find me. Come find one of our shepherds. Contact us, here at the church office. And I understand it is difficult to serve if I don't know where to serve, if I don't know in what areas there are to serve. Totally get it. But that's a reason. Let's not let it become an excuse. See the difference? We want to help get you connected. We want to help let you know what the needs are. We're working on that. And we'll keep working on that. But let's not use that as an excuse anymore. Another excuse that I think is fairly common is, well, I don't think they need me. They've got other people volunteering. There's other people that are better at that. There's other people that are more gifted at that. They don't need me. I don't know that much. I don't have that gift. I don't have that talent. And again, this is where I've been several times with other volunteer opportunities. If I felt like I wasn't needed, then I wasn't going to volunteer. And surely somebody else that had more of a passion for it, or that it seemed like they liked them better than they did me, well, then let them go do it. So again, this is totally understandable. If I don't feel useful, if I don't feel needed, then I'm not going to volunteer. I'm not going to find a way to serve in that particular area. It feels like a waste of time. And again, we're trying to get better here at Flagstone. We're trying to get better at communicating what the needs are and when we need you, and making sure that you are needed. And it's a work in progress. We're getting better. But we also, honestly, there may be some areas where we've got plenty of volunteers in this area. We need you over here. And that might interest you more, but this is where we need you. And so there might need to be some flexibility on our part to say, okay, I thought y'all needed me here, but you need me here? Fine, I'll go over here. It's a legitimate reason to say, I don't know what's needed. Totally understand it. Let's not let the reason become an excuse for why we never volunteer to serve. Another, I think, common excuse is, well, I'm just too busy. I got too many other things on my plate. I'm not in town enough. I got, projects to get done. I've got a whole bunch of other things demanding my time. And let's be really honest. It's probably not as much about time as it is about priorities. Because we'll make time, all of us will make time for the things that matter most to us, won't we? It's a matter of priorities. It's a matter of what I see as being really important. We are busy. We've got a lot of things going on. You may not be able to do all the different things that we have needs for, but I think we can all find time to do something. And let's not allow our priorities to get in the way of using the opportunities that God puts in front of us to serve. Another excuse I might use that is too difficult. You need teachers? I don't know how to teach. You need greeters? I don't know how to greet. I don't know how to say, hello, glad you're here. As I just say, hello, glad you're here. You need, I don't know, connection group hosts? I don't know how to do that. You need Bible class teachers? I don't think I know how to do that. You need people to help serve communion trays? Ooh, that's a toughie. And I think we use that. I'm not trying to make fun. I think we use that excuse a lot. If I don't feel gifted, if I don't feel like I got enough training, enough knowledge in a particular area, enough experience in that area, then I'm not really gung-ho about signing up to volunteer in that particular area. Totally makes sense. But we can provide training. We can provide help. We can show you what it's all about. We can give you a step-by-step process. We can make that happen for you so that you feel equipped, so that you feel comfortable doing whatever it is that this church family needs done. Well, let's not use that as an excuse anymore. It's a reason, but let's not use it as an excuse. And maybe one of the more difficult things to overcome is if I've had a bad experience. And this is my personality. If I have a bad experience with something, then I'm not going back there again. If I go to a restaurant and it's terrible, am I going back to that restaurant? No. If people tell me, no, they got new management, it's improved. Well, good for them. I ain't going. Isn't that our attitude? If we had a bad, vacation experience, if that hotel was bad, not only are we not going back, we're telling everybody else, don't go to that place. Even if they make improvements, even if things are better. Whatever our bad experience has been causes us to not want to go back and experience it again. That makes sense. And if you've had a bad experience, if you've volunteered to serve in some form or fashion, either here at Flagstone or maybe some other place, and it was a bad experience, it causes you to be fearful about volunteering again. Totally understandable. Maybe you got stuck, you volunteered for a limited amount of time and you got stuck doing it every time. Maybe you said, I can give you a couple of months, and they took 5 years. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons. Maybe there were people that you got partnered with that hurt your feelings, or the personalities didn't mesh. Maybe people criticized you. Maybe it just completely flopped. Whatever it was that you were doing, you just failed. And whatever those different things are that happen, it causes us to be nervous about volunteering for that again because of the bad experience. And I'm not wanting to disregard the experience that you had. Now, I'm not wanting to say that that's not real and that wasn't painful and that there aren't scars. I want to encourage you, if that's where you are, if that's what's keeping you from serving in this church family is because of an experience of the past, I want to encourage you to do what you can to let it go and move forward. Easier said than done, I know. But not to use that as an excuse anymore. And if we kept listing, there would be more excuses that we could list out of why I can't serve, why I can't help, why I can't volunteer. And as I said before, I'm going to give you a couple of areas here in a minute where we know we need help right now that maybe you weren't even aware of. But before I do that, as we take some time to be honest with ourselves about why we don't volunteer, the excuses that we give, there are two facts that I want all of us to know, especially, and I know we got a lot of guests here, but especially with our church family, and maybe even with our guests. Maybe this is the reason that God brought you here to us this morning. There's 2 facts that I know about our church family, about everyone that's involved in our church family. The first one is this: you are needed. You are needed. That is a fact. We need you. I wish I could have like the Uncle Sam's hat and the finger. We need you. We need you. We need you here. I think God brought you here for a reason. I think you're part of this church family for a reason. I think that maybe even God brought you as a guest here this morning for a reason, because we need you. We talked in our church family meeting this morning. If you weren't here, we've got it recorded. We'll have it available for you later. But we talked about how we are going to set a goal for our church family to double in our size and in our efforts and in all we're doing in the next 3 years. That's a huge goal. You know what part of that process of accomplishing that means? We need you. You are needed. We need people who are willing to serve. We need people who are willing to go out in our community and reach out to people. We need people who are willing to connect with others and maybe even build those relationships themselves or help them connect with other people. We need you. We need people to host connection groups. We need people to participate in those connection groups. We need greeters. We need volunteers. We got our Jackrabbit 5K coming up in just a few months. Do we need volunteers for that, Lori? Absolutely we do, okay? We need people just to even function as mentors for new Christians, for new married couples, for new parents. We need you. We need to build those connections with you. We need people to volunteer in our teen ministry. We need people to volunteer in our children's ministry, and not just parents. We need all of you. Let me get real specific for just a minute, okay? I asked for some help from some of our ministry leaders. So just in our children's ministry. Now, Andrea Jensen is doing a fantastic job with our children's ministry right now. And it just so happened, she feels so bad. It just so happened that her family had a trip planned long before she ever knew that I was talking about this today. So she's not in town this morning. But I asked her, just for information purposes, what does she need just as far as volunteers are concerned with the children's ministry? Right now, on a given Sunday, she needs a minimum of 13 people to help our children's ministry run the way that it is, and everybody survive, and you pick up your kids okay when you get them back. We need 13 people. Ideally, it'd be better to have 18 people, because that would mean that there's at least 2 people in every classroom and a couple of people floating in the hallways to make sure that, errands get run and things, kids get taken to the bathroom and all those kinds of things. So 18 people. Right now, she has 20 people who are signed up to help in children's ministry on a regular basis. And we try to make it where you don't have to feel like you're locked into children's ministry as a prison sentence for the rest of your life. We want you to be able to just give one Sunday a month. One Sunday a month to teach our children how to love Jesus and to teach them how much he loves them. One Sunday a month. We can't do that right now because we only got 20 people to choose from. Does that make sense? We need you. We need you. With our greeters, we need at least, a bare minimum of 6 people in our greeting ministry every single Sunday. Twice as many would be ideal, just right now. And I told you, we're planning on growing. Guess what? We're going to need more greeters. Right now, we have a total of 24 people signed up to help in our greeter ministry, to help in engaging folks when we walk in the door, handing them a bulletin, and answering their questions, and guiding them to where they need to be. It's all we got signed up on a regular basis right now. With our connection groups, I didn't ask Devin for specific numbers, but if you look through, I'm pretty confident that less than half of our church family is consistently involved in a connection group. Is that accurate? Less than half. And we talk about it as part of our mission to reach out, connect. You can say it out loud. It's okay. Reach out, connect, and serve, right? So part of our mission at Flagstone is to connect, and we got less than half of our church family involved in an easy way to make connections. We need more hosts. We need more people to sign up to go be in groups. We need you. With our praise team, we have every Sunday morning, we have, including the worship leader, we have 5 people every Sunday on our praise team. And right now we have maybe 2 people for each part. A couple of those parts might have 3. I think one of them has 4. And so I was talking to Jordan, who's in charge of our praise team ministry. And he said, ideally, I'd like to have at least 5 of each category. That way, our praise team folks are only required to be a part of the praise team every single, once a month. And then the other Sundays, they can sit with you and enjoy and praise and be led by somebody else. I mean, I think we have singers in our church. I hear you. I hear you every Sunday. And I think there's some of you that have the ability to sing. Now, is it different sitting next to people that you know and singing versus having a microphone in front of your face? Absolutely different. And some people, it's weird. You can sing where you sit next to somebody puts a microphone and something happens to your voice. Totally understandable. But I think there's more people here that could be a part of that than have volunteered to be a part of it. I'll tell you this, just put on your calendar, we are going to have the first ever Flagstone Vacation Bible School this summer. Yeah. I wasn't expecting applause, but all right. So we're excited about that. Guess what we're going to need to make that happen? Volunteers. A lot of them. Okay? We need you. Have I driven the point home? We need you, folks. You are needed. And I want you to know that. I want you to know that that is true. Now, is it difficult sometimes to get you connected to where you need to be? Yes, we're working on that. But don't doubt that we need you. We do. We need you. And the second truth, the second fact is this, that what I'm talking about this morning is kingdom work. This is kingdom work. This is God's kingdom that we're talking about. There are no insignificant roles. There are no unimportant ministries. Volunteering and serving at Flagstone is not about Flagstone. It's about God's kingdom. It's about connecting people to Jesus. It's about helping them grow in that relationship with Him and helping them grow in that relationship and that connection with other believers. It is vitally important work. It's mission-fulfilling work. This is what Jesus told us to do when He left. You guys keep doing what I've been doing. You keep growing. You keep building. You keep growing that relationship with me. You keep growing in relationships with each other. You call other people to be a part of what it is that we have. That is kingdom work. That is what we're talking about here. All the things I'm talking about when it comes to serving and volunteering here at Flagstone is not about patting ourselves on the back and go, woohoo, look at Flagstone. I mean, I do brag on you a lot. I do. But this is truly about the kingdom. About bringing light into darkness. About fighting against the powers of Satan. That's what we're talking about. Can teaching a 4-year-old kid how much the Creator of the universe loves them fight darkness? You better believe it. This is kingdom work that we're talking about. And I want us to fully understand that, and I want us to fully embrace it. I want us to fully embrace those 2 facts this morning. I am needed, and this is kingdom work. And then to understand some things about just myself. And I'll share these truths with you this morning, and we'll be done. But maybe you need to write these down. Maybe you need to screenshot these so that you can come back to them and remind yourself of them in the weeks and months and maybe even years to come. But if you never knew these things about yourself, I want you to know these things this morning. First of all, if I'm a child of God, then I am gifted. Scripture teaches that if I have given my life to Jesus, if I have confessed Him as my Lord and Savior, if I have repented of my sins, if I've been baptized in His name, then I have His Spirit living in me. And if I have His Spirit living in me, I am a child of God. And if I am a child of God, I am gifted by God with what I need to be able to serve my God. Romans chapter 12, verse 6, Paul says, we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. And he doesn't, it's not like we might have some gifts, or you might be gifted in some way. What does he say? We have different gifts. We have been gifted. I have been gifted. It's not just a possibility, it's a definite statement. God has already blessed me with the ability to do something. And I just need to stop making excuses and commit to whatever it is that he has gifted me to do. Paul, in a different letter in 2 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 8, he says this: God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. Even those things that I don't feel gifted in right now, guess what God has the ability to do? Give me the ability to do those things. So I've already been gifted to be able to do something, and then there might be some other things that come up that I didn't realize or don't feel gifted for. Guess what? I asked God for it, and what does he have the ability to do? Give me the ability to do that, whatever it is. Does that make sense? I am already gifted, and God will continue to bless me with the gifts and the talents and the abilities that I need to do good stuff, to do kingdom work. So I want you to repeat this with me. Go back to the screen, guys. I want you to repeat it with me. I am gifted. Your turn. One more time, like you actually believe it. I am gifted. Number 2, I am strengthened. I'm not having to volunteer on my own. I'm not having to connect, make these connections all by myself. There are other people who are going to lock arms with me. I don't have to volunteer. I don't have to figure out how to do this all by myself. I make connections and partner with you, and we can do this together. That's part of being in a church family. Solomon, thousands of years ago, in Ecclesiastes chapter 4 said in verse 12, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. And it can seem overwhelming for me to volunteer for something that I've never tried before, or to join a group that I've never been a part of before, or to engage with people that I don't really know that well. But here's the thing. I'm not having to do those things alone. I can rely on other people in this church family to help me, to partner with me, to lock arms with me. And what's the promise? When I make those connections with you and we serve our God together, that bond doesn't easily get broken. We're stronger doing this together. I am stronger when I serve along with you. And you are stronger when when you serve with me. When we choose to serve together, it makes us stronger. It makes our church stronger. It makes God's kingdom stronger. I am strengthened. And I can overcome challenges, and I can reach out to our community, and I can serve. Why? Because we're doing it together. But not only that, Paul gives this promise in Philippians chapter 4 and verse 13. He says, I can do everything through him who gives me strength. I can do everything that my God calls me to do. I can do everything that God puts on my heart. I can meet needs. I can meet challenges. I can overcome things. Why? Because he's giving me the strength to do it. And here's the thing about this. Let me share some grammar with you. When he says, it's through God who gives me strength. That's a present tense word. That is a word that means a continuing action. It's not just one time like God's like, okay, I gave you strength for that. Good luck the rest of the way. God continually strengthens me. God continually builds me up. God continually gives me what I need to do whatever it is that he's leading me to do. It's a continuing action. And the longer that I stay connected with him, and the more that I stay connected with you, and we're doing this together, I am strengthened. So, let's commit to that together. Let's commit to that truth together. After me, I am strengthened. I am strengthened. One more time like you really believe it. I am strengthened. Number 3, I have an opportunity. Don't think there's not opportunities. Don't look around and go, oh, no, there's anything to do. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do with this church family. There may be a lot to do in your own family, in your own neighborhoods. There's a lot to do in our community. God is giving us opportunities. And we talked about that last week, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time there this morning. But there are opportunities right here, right now, for us to help in our community and with our church family. And I've already given you some. And there's other things that we could talk about that I didn't even mention this morning. But here's the question. The question is not, are there opportunities to serve? The question is, what am I going to do with the opportunities that are there? What am I going to do? Am I going to take action? Am I going to make an effort? Or am I going to make excuses? Because the opportunity is here, now, to serve, to volunteer, to help. 1 Peter chapter 4, Peter says this in verse 10, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to do what? Serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. God has given you grace. God has given you mercy. God has given you compassion and love and acceptance and hope. And God has given you spiritual gifts and talents and abilities. So what does Peter say? Use them. Do something with them. God gave them to you for a reason. I have opportunities. I just need to take action. Say it with me. I have an opportunity. Oh, that was terrible. I have an opportunity. One more time. I have an opportunity. I hope you believe those things to be true. Because they are. And I don't want this to come across this morning. I'm going to wrap up in just a second. I don't want this to come across this morning as sounding like I'm griping or trying to induce guilt in any way. I hope and I have prayed that just what I'm sharing with you from my heart today generates excitement. And just looking around going, man, look at the opportunities. How exciting. Not to sit there and go, golly, we don't have very many volunteers for those different things. Wow, look at that. There's a whole bunch of empty blanks for me to sign up and volunteer for those different things. See the difference? This is exciting, folks. If you've been a part of this church family for a while and haven't figured out how to get plugged in, let's make it happen. And I will confess, maybe we haven't done the best job of telling you what those needs are. We have needs. Maybe we haven't done the best job of getting you plugged in to the people who are in charge of those different ministries so that you can help meet those needs. Let's work on that together. But let's not use those reasons as excuses anymore. Let's commit together to serve this church family and to serve our community because the opportunities are there. There's a story, if you've been part of a church for a while or gone to Bible classes for a while, you're probably familiar with what we call the parable of the talents, a story that Jesus told about the businessman that had a whole bunch of money and he divvied it up between some of his employees. He gave one guy 5 bags of gold, another guy 2 bags of gold, another guy 1 bag of gold. So I'm going on a trip. When I come back, I want to see what you've done with it. He goes on his trip, he comes back. The guy with 5 bags did what? Doubled it, right? 5 more bags. Guy with 2 bags did what? Doubled it. Got 2 more bags. So he got 4 now. Guy with 1 bag did what? Well, he didn't double it. Because he took his talent and he buried it in the ground. Did he lose it? No. But his boss, his employer, his master was upset with him. Why? Not because he lost, but because he what? Didn't even try. And Jesus says that's what the kingdom is like. God's not keeping score. God's not looking at your tally marks and seeing how many more things that you volunteered for or known about or given to or whatever compared to somebody else. God is looking at you, at your heart, and saying, how willing are you to use the gifts that I have given you? There was one guy that got 5 bags of gold. There's one guy that got 2. You think the guy with 2 is like, why did he get 5? I could have done 5. No, he focused on the gifts that God had given him and he did something with it, which is what the guy with 1 bag of gold should have done too. And his master tells him how disappointed he is. Not because he lost it. Not because he didn't double it like the other guys did. But he didn't even try. So what about this as we wrap up this morning? What about if we commit to each other? I will try. I will try. I'm not asking you to volunteer for everything we have, for every opportunity that we have. I'm asking you to volunteer for something. Do something with the gifts that God has given you. Maybe you've got ideas for ministries that we don't even know about. So let's figure it out. Let's do that. Let's try. And let's see what God does with it. One more time. I am gifted. Your turn.
I am gifted.
I am strengthened.
I am strengthened.
I have an opportunity.
I have an opportunity.
So I will try.
So I will try.
Will you? I hope so. I think God's going to do some amazing things for his kingdom through this church. I really do. And I want you to feel that enthusiasm, that energy, that passion too. So we're going to sing a song together. We're going to stand when we sing it. And if you're standing there when we start singing this song, you recognize, man, you know, one of the reasons that I haven't been feeling like I can serve is because I don't have that connection with him. Or maybe there's some of you this morning that have never given your lives to Jesus. You've never invited him to be the king of your heart. You never confessed your sins. You never repented of those sins. You never put him on in baptism. You don't have his spirit living in you. And that needs to change, and it can change today. And when you have that connection with him, you want to go take the light that you have received to other people, so we can make that happen today. And maybe there's something in your life that has gotten in the way of that relationship. Maybe you used to be close to God. Maybe you used to be closely connected to him and on fire for him, but something happened. And maybe it was time, and maybe it was circumstances or a relationship or an addiction or something happened, but that relationship got severed. You can have it back. My God would want nothing more than to reconnect with you today. And so when we sing that song, you're welcome to come forward and share that with us this morning. Maybe you just recognize, I want to serve. I want to use the gifts that I've got. I want to take advantage of the opportunities, but I'm going to need some help. I need prayers. I need strength. I want to commit to this. Will you guys pray for me? And we will make that happen. And if you don't move an inch from where you're standing while we sing together, I invite you to go back through those truths in your mind. I am gifted. I have strength. There are opportunities. So starting today, I'm going to try. Would you be willing to make that commitment? While together we stand and sing.